Hello there, my name is Dr. Wayne Smith. I'm a chiropractor in Alberta, Canada, and I'm also an igloo enthusiast. Today I want to share you 5 tips for how to build a successful igloo. And this is my latest igloo project right here. Now, I built this igloo about 3 or 4 weeks ago over the Christmas holidays with my daughters. And you know, I've always been interested in building things out of snow. Even when I was a young kid, my brothers and I, we would go outside during the winter and we'd build some kind of a fort or a fortress, the best that we could do. But you know, usually it amounted to just a bunch of chunks of snow and ice that we found lying around that we stacked up. And it was never quite big enough for me. I wanted something bigger and stronger and taller. I wanted something with a roof that was a real fortress that I could go inside of. And so as I got older, I decided to start looking around at different ways to build this kind of a structure. And I discovered that the Inuit up north, they would use these long knives and they would cut out these blocks out of compressed snow. And they would use these blocks, they would stack them in a spiral pattern, and so they could build a perfect dome shape. And they would use this on hunting trips or even to live in. But we don't have the right kind of snow around here to be able to build something like that. And so another idea was to build up a huge pile of snow, wait for it to settle a little bit, and then dig out the inside. And I did a few projects like that. The only problem it was a lot of work. And you'd get soaking wet by the time you're done as you're carving out and digging out inside. It was very exhausting. And not only that, if things hadn't settled properly before you started, you could have the whole thing cave in on you. Not a lot of fun. So, about 10 years ago or so, I discovered a completely different way of building igloos. And this was kind of the same way that you build a sandcastle on the beach, where you fill the bucket with sand and you dump it out and you've got a nice little block ready made there. The difference with this is the blocks are built in place. So basically what it amounts to is a 3-sided box with a long pole on it. And you fill the box with snow. The pole is anchored where the center of the igloo is going to be. You pack the snow into the box and then you slide it over and you fill snow for the next block. And you continue all the way around in a same spiraling pattern like the Inuit used to do. And each time you get to a different row, the pole changes length a little bit so that you can create this perfect dome-shaped pattern. So I want to show you 5 steps that I think are important to building a successful igloo if you'll follow me inside. So here we are inside the igloo. Actually, it can be quite cozy in here. A couple of weeks ago, I spent 2 nights out here. It was about minus 15 degrees Celsius, which is about 0 degrees Fahrenheit. And but inside here, it was much warmer than that. It was actually quite cozy. So here are my 5 tips to build a successful igloo. Here's the first one. Target. And what I mean by that is your initial plan and your goal with what you're going to do with your igloo. You got to decide where you want to build it, and you got to make a nice foundation that's packed down and it's got enough space. You also want to make sure that you've got enough snow around that you can be able to use to build the igloo. So you got to have a plan and a target that you're going to try to get to. Second step is the right tools. Now, when I first discovered this idea of building an igloo, I didn't have the money to buy the tool that I needed. And so I decided to kind of create my own tool. So I did a lot of research. I was looking on the website and I was looking at different igloos and how to build them and stuff. And I went out to the hardware store and I bought some supplies. I bought a telescoping broom handle and I bought a pole sander with a pivot on it, and I bought a bunch of little plastic garbage cans that were in a square shape. I brought all these things home and I started chopping them up and figuring them out and putting them together. And I figured out exactly how long the pole needed to be for each row of the igloo. So I put this all together and I took it out to behind the apartment where we were living in Toronto at the time, and I started building my igloo. And that first time, it took a long time to build the igloo, and it was kind of small and it wasn't that good looking, but I did it. And I found when I bought the actual tool, the proper tool for the job, things went so much easier. So having the right tool, and this is what it looks like, by the way, with, as I described before, with the 3 sides and a pole anchored in the middle. You fill that with snow as you go around. The other thing that you're going to need is a good shovel. I've used several different shovels over the years. I've been building igloos for about 10 years now. And the shovel that I found that worked the best was actually designed for a car. You just put it in the trunk of your car and use it for emergencies. And what I like about it is it's got a small scoop on it, so that you're not pouring extra snow around the form that you don't need. And also the handle comes off, because as you build the igloo and it spirals up, the walls get closer and closer together, and you're building from the inside. And so when it gets close to the top, you don't have a lot of room to put the snow into the form. And so having a handle that comes off is fabulous, because then you can scoop up the snow and still put it in the form properly. So tools are very important. The third one is technique. And for this, technique is the key to everything. The real key to building a successful igloo this way is learning how to pack the snow properly. Now, if you try to pack it too hard, the block will fracture, and then it'll fall apart when you try to move the form to the next spot. If you don't pack it hard enough and you move the form, all the snow will just come flowing out. So there's that key. This is where the science and the art of building an igloo come together. If you press on the snow just the right amount, what happens is you compress those crystals, and they very quickly melt and then refreeze again. And if you imagine that happening with 1 million snowflakes all at once, you get quite a stiff block that's formed. And in fact, if you do it properly, that block is formed almost immediately. So you can immediately release the pressure and move the form over and immediately start the next block. And you can do that with any kind of snow, and that's what I think is so amazing about this tool. It doesn't matter if the snow is sticky or dry or fluffy or crystally. You can use any kind of snow if you use the proper technique. Fourth is team. Now, you can build an igloo all by yourself. I've done it several times, but it's a whole lot easier if you have someone else to help you. So you don't even need a lot of people, just 1 or 2 other people to help bring you snow. Because this way of building an igloo, you need a constant supply of snow. And so if you have someone else to help bring that to you, you can build it a lot faster. If I have to do it myself, I have to crawl out of the igloo, go find some snow, bring it close to me, dump it out, and then get back ready to pack into the snow again. So having a team is really important. And finally is tenacity. You really need to have some perseverance and some determination to get this job done, because there is going to be some frustration along the way. Sometimes, no matter what your intentions and your technique and your target, sometimes the block is going to fracture and you've got to back up and do it again. It requires a little bit of patience and perseverance and determination to overcome any obstacle in order to get it done. And you know, I've talked about these 5 tips with respect to building an igloo, but actually they could be used with any kind of project in your life. If there's any kind of challenge or difficulty or obstacle that you have to mount, you need to have a target. You need to have the right tools, whether that's a physical tool or some kind of a mental tool that you have. You need to use the right technique. And if you're using the right technique, it doesn't matter what your circumstances are. You can overcome any obstacle. If you have a team, if you have some kind of support system around you, people to cheer you on and to help you out, it's going to make things a lot easier. And finally, tenacity. You have to have that determination to overcome at all costs. So these are my 5 tips to build a successful igloo. I hope you've enjoyed that, and I appreciate any comments or questions that you may have. Thank you.